Hello, everyone. My name is Momma Bonnie, and I'm so happy to see you here back at the burrow. And to all of our new friends, hello. It's so nice to meet you. How was your day? I hope it went well. And now that you're here, my day's gotten even better. Since we've had so much fun learning with Miss Frizzle, I thought, we could read another Magic School Bus story together. But we can't have our story unless we're all comfy cozy. So make sure you're wearing something comfy. And don't forget to bring your favorite stuffy. I think they're gonna want to hear the story too, don't you? Oh, well then, are we all comfy? Let's get started. Shall we? Tonight's story is The Magic School Bus Out of This World. Having a teacher like Miss Frizzle can be out of this world. Take yesterday, for example, when we were rehearsing for our solar system play. Suddenly, a loud crash came from the hallway. We raced to the door to find Miss Frizzle and Dorothy Ann on the floor. Rushing to class, Dorothy Ann had run smack into the frizz. Books, films, and papers were everywhere. Well, as I always say, there's nothing like starting the day with a bang, exclaimed Miss Frizzle as she and Dorothy Ann dusted themselves off. "Where have you been, Dorothy Ann?" asked Wanda. "We had to start our solar system play without you." "Yeah, you're supposed to be Pluto," Carlos said. "Arf, arf," he joked. "There's no time for a play," cried Dorothy Ann. "We have to evacuate the school this instant." "I've been tracking an asteroid I saw through my telescope." "What's an asteroid?" Tim asked. "It's a big space rock," Dorothy Ann answered. "And according to my calculations, sometime in the next 24 hours, it's going to crash into our school and destroy it." "How are we going to find out if DA is right?" asked Phoebe worriedly. We all had the same thought. That's when Miss Frizzle got a sparkle in her eyes. As my old astronomy teacher used to say, "A star light, a star bright. There's always a way to find out if you're right." To the bus class. "Welcome, a crew of the Magic Space Bus," announced Miss Frizzle as our old school bus changed into a space bus. "Our mission today is to find Dorothy Ann's mysterious space object, follow its path, and if necessary, keep it from crashing into Walker Elementary." And off we went. We had just taken off when suddenly something zoomed by. We raced to the window, but it had already burned out. Maybe that was Dorothy Ann's asteroid, said Keisha hopefully. "No, it was a shooting star," Phoebe said. That's right. But shooting stars are meteors, space rocks, explained Miss Frizzle. Most meteors burn up when they enter Earth's atmosphere. And, added Dorothy Ann, according to my observation, my asteroid is much bigger and is coming from the direction of Saturn. Miss Frizzle shouted some commands at Liz, our pilot. Before we knew it, we were zooming off towards Saturn. Suddenly, we noticed we were off course. We all fell to the right. What's happening? We yelled. We are about to cross paths with the moon, exclaimed Dorothy Ann. We all rushed to the window. Sure enough, the space bus was heading right towards the moon. We were going to crash. But we were headed towards Saturn, not the moon, pointed out Keisha. What changed our path? Just when we thought we were moon dust, Dorothy Ann looked up from her map. I figured it out, she announced. Because the moon is so much bigger than we are being pulled in by its gravity. Can't we just change our path? Asked Phoebe. Right on track, Phoebe, responded the Frizz. I suggest an orbital insertion burn. In other words, step on it, Carlos said. Liz pressed some buttons. In no time at all, the space bus was traveling on a path around the moon instead of into it. It was getting late. We had to find Dorothy Ann's asteroid before it hit our school. That's when we realized we were stuck in a path around the moon. Is it just me, or are we playing Ring Around the Moon? Asked Ralphie. Just then, a small space rock zipped by. It was heading straight for the moon. Kaboom! The space rock smashed into the moon and exploded. That meteorite proves my point, cried Dorothy Ann, her nose in her map. Things still crash into each other, even though there's a lot of room out here in space. And if that meteorite had crashed into our school instead of the moon, explained Miss Frizzle, it would have been goodbye Walker Elementary. Finally, Liz pulled the space bus out of its path around the moon. Then, Wanda saw something fly by her window. I think I see your asteroid, she exclaimed. Dorothy Ann rushed over to Wanda. Wait a second, she said. It's got a tail, which means it's a comet. I don't think what I saw through my telescope was a comet. Dorothy Ann wrinkled her nose. Gee, maybe this comet is what I saw. She sighed as she looked out the window. And now I'm not sure. I say we blast it to smithereens, exclaimed Carlos. Phoebe remembered that a comet is made of ice and rock. We don't have to blast it, she explained to Carlos. We can melt it. Dorothy Ann wanted us to wait to melt the comet, but we were losing time. Soon it would be out of range. Extend the mega reflector, Liz, ordered Wanda, and begin meltdown. The sun reflected off a giant mirror, and suddenly the comet began to melt. We got it! Oh, we cheered. All the rock and dust are coming off and evaporating, noted Keisha. And the dust is making the tail bigger and brighter, continued Tim. Oh, we were so excited about melting the comet. We could barely hear Dorothy Ann. We destroyed the wrong space object, she said to no one. That got our attention. When we were going around the moon, continued Dorothy Ann, I got myself all turned around. To get to the asteroid, we're going to have to go the other way. Liz quickly turned the space bus around. Before we even settled into our seats, Dorothy Ann spotted a huge space rock outside our windshield. There it is, she announced. Whoa! That's one big space rock! Cried Tim. Finally, face to face with the asteroid. We had grown a little nervous. How are we going to get rid of it? We wondered. If we could melt a comet, how hard could it be to melt an asteroid? Reasoned Arnold. We tried and tried to melt the asteroid, but it just wouldn't melt. It looks like it's made of metal, noticed Tim. A metal and rock, to be exact, responded Miss Frizzle. If we can't melt it, what are we going to do? Asked Wanda worriedly. Miss Frizzle encouraged us not to give up. The path to success leads in many different directions. That's it! Exclaimed Dorothy Ann. We don't need to destroy the asteroid. We just have to change its path so it doesn't hit our school. Then Carlos came up with a great idea. He had noticed earlier that the space bus had a two-seater space pod that could detach from the space bus. And now was the perfect time to use it. He told us that attached to the space pod was a rammer-slammer magnet. With the magnet, the space pod could be attached to the metallic asteroid. Once attached, the space pod's rockets could pull the asteroid off its course. With the Frizz as co-captain, Carlos put on his space helmet. Ready to launch, announced Wanda, a hand on the lever. Launch! Exclaimed Dorothy Ann, and off they went. Arm the rammer-slammer magnet, shouted Miss Frizzle as the asteroid came into view. Here we go, Carlos called out. From inside the bus, we watched the space pod attach itself to the asteroid. Then, Carlos and Miss Frizzle fired the space pod's rocket. They tried and tried to move the asteroid, but it wouldn't move. The space pod's rockets aren't powerful enough to pull the asteroid off its path, exclaimed Dorothy Ann in a panic. Then we noticed that the Frizz and Carlos couldn't pull the magnet off the asteroid. It was stuck. What were we going to do? Just when we thought we were doomed, Phoebe jumped up from her seat. If the space bus becomes bigger and heavier than the asteroid, wouldn't our gravity pull it into a path around us? She asked. Terrific. Then we can babysit the asteroid for the rest of our lives, responded Wanda. Not if we get rid of it, cried Dorothy Ann. She knew exactly what to do. Dorothy Ann drew a picture of a huge space bus, with the asteroid traveling in a path around it. If we get very big, the asteroid will swing around us, she explained as she pointed to her diagram. On another piece of paper, she drew a tiny space bus. If we get small again, we'll lose our gravitational pull. Then we'll send the asteroid flying into the sun and it'll be gone forever. She sketched the asteroid flying off the page. We thought Dorothy Ann's idea sounded out of this world. Except, what about Carlos and Miss Frizzle? Leave it to Dorothy Ann to work this out too. Maybe they can't get the pod off the asteroid, but they can escape the pod, she said, with the plan all mapped out. Dorothy Ann got on the microphone to explain it to Miss Frizzle. The asteroid moved closer and closer to Earth, and to our school. We had to work fast. You have to make this bus as big and as heavy as you can, Dorothy Ann instructed Liz. At least as heavy as the moon, Arnold added. The space bus shook and heaved. Before we knew it, we went from the size of a comet to the size of an asteroid, until finally we were as big as the moon. It's working, Miss Frizzle. The gravity of the space bus is pulling us in. Prepare for ejection, Miss Frizzle exclaimed. Meanwhile, inside the space bus, we opened the hatch to let them in. Eject! Yelled the Frizz, and in they flew. Now, all we had to do was get smaller at just the right time and send that asteroid on a path into the sun. Dorothy Ann explained everything to Liz. Shrink us back to normal size and release the asteroid from our gravitational pull. You can do it, Liz, encouraged Wanda. You've got the right stuff. 10 seconds to release, announced Dorothy Ann. We gathered around Liz and counted together. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Kapow! We did it. We cheered as we shrank back to normal size. We watched the asteroid zoom towards the sun. A way to go, Lieutenant Liz, exclaimed Dorothy Ann, patting her on the head. A mission accomplished. Miss Frizzle directed the space bus towards Earth. Prepare for re-entry, she exclaimed. We're going home. The end. Phew, what a relief. I'm glad they got rid of that asteroid. Aren't you? Oh my, look at the time. It's getting late, and we should go to sleep. So, and get all snuggled up underneath your blanket. I'll hold your favorite stuffy tight, tight, tight. So they know they are loved. Oh, and dream some wonderful dreams. And while you're having those wonderful dreams, I'll get our story ready for next time. How does that sound? And always remember, Mama Bonnie loves you very, very much. Good night.